Well, let's talk about some stuff that I discussed a week prior, 2 weeks ago, when everybody was making fun of me, when y'all was saying Antifa is a bunch of Call of Duty kids, living in mom and dad's basement. And I said, nope, they got guns and getting gun training. They got other people they ain't rolled out yet. Now, that is dated on my social media, and I said that before anybody else said it, and before they did the thing with Seattle, and they did the Chaz thing and the Chop thing and whatever. Who was right? Who told you? Y'all know that I did it. Y'all know I was the guy telling the truth. And now what? How did I know? I can't tell you how I know because you won't. That's something else I ain't gonna get into right now. But I knew that they were getting weapons training. I knew they were gonna get ARs in there. Now the dilemma is how the media can craft the fact that they got guns. They've been covering that up. They did this one thing, and you gotta keep in mind, Fox News has been infiltrated too because the kids in Fox News, they didn't like Roger Ailes, and there's a lot of liberals in Fox News now. So they probably made this little thing that had the kid with the AR and did it just, and then pointed attention to it because they had this thing that said it was fake. Well, it wasn't fake. There was people with guns in there. But they tried to do that to draw attention away from the guns that were in the zone. So they made it look like it was all set up. They made it look like a fake thing because what they did was they said, oh, look, they superimposed this same guy with a gun on 3 or 4 things. But they didn't have any problem with that when it was the fat guy at the rally before. And we all know that hypocrisy, just like we saw this week. They're showing one riot after another, one so-called peaceful protest after another, and then they're still in the same headline, Trump shouldn't have any kind of rallies because you don't need the people close to each other, but it's perfectly okay for funerals, rallies, whatever, and it's not even hypocrisy anymore. It's outright rule. They think they whatever they believe, it's religion. It is not, they quit calling it hypocrisy. It's not, it's their rule. They have the absolute say. If they say something's immoral and they say that's not how it needs to be done, then that's what you're supposed to stick with. And that's how it's come now. And if y'all say hypocrite, then you're just falling into it because it's beyond hypocrisy. It's not hypocrisy. That people just, when you say hypocrisy, people just, it's like years ago when you used to call a Democrat a liberal, they would deny being liberal and they say, oh, you just call them. Then when they said socialist, a few years later, oh, they're not socialists, and they admitted it. One day they're going to admit, like, we're not hypocrites, we just want to rule everything, and it's about to the point we're at now. Now, that said, I have told you guys what the plan is. They want to turn this into something, and, how they're going to do this, this ought to show you guys, they've got guns, they got AR-15s, probably Grandpa George bought them for them, and they're running around with their guns, and the media is trying to think, how do we show this and scare us? They want to do it 2 ways. They want to scare the old people by showing that they got guns and scare them about so-called assault weapons. Oh, these guys got assault weapons, but they don't want to connect Antifa to the Democratic Party or the cause. So they're kind of confused. Like, how can we scare people about the AR-15s that these guys got? They're trying to figure out how to balance, juggle this shit. On one hand, they want to try to say, okay, they got AR-15s and scare the old people or people who don't understand guns, like, oh, they got guns out there. Well, who are these people? And they don't want to connect them to the political party. So well, we got to somehow disassociate them from the Democratic Party and at the same time be supportive of them. But at another time, how can we scare people about the guns that they have? And that's what they're confused trying to figure out how to do right now. Just like what they did previously, when everybody put up all the BLM where Black Lives Matter is financing all these Democratic candidates, all the money goes to BLM is financing Democratic candidates. And then when all the true information came out, they would take minor inaccuracies and blow those up, or minor things that weren't exactly crossed I's, T's, crossed I's, cross T's, dotted the I things. And then they wait, let's debunk it. And all it takes for a moron is one, misspeak And you know that in arguing with liberals online. Like if you misspell spell check fucks up on that, all of a sudden your argument's invalid, even though because all the logic, you can dump 1,000,000 pounds of logic on these people, but they'll look for a spell check issue or some other shit. And say, oh well, look at that. No wonder you're a fucking liar. You know, like just like the Trump with the mile high hamburger thing that they did. They have to show you how many millimeters a hamburger, a piece of cheese is, and show you how Trump's a liar because he said it's a mile high hamburgers. Because hyperbole, you can't use hyperbole. Now, that funny part is like saying that is, if you're used to being a Ku Klux Klan, like if Joe Biden's praising Robert Byrd as a mentor, and Robert Byrd was in a Klan, like they'll do this thing like Robert Byrd was a Cyclops, what was it, Grand Cyclops, whatever they are. I had the whole detail last week. But he worked his way up to Exalted Cyclops, I think it was. But anyway, I had to get this off alternative search engines. And then I said, oh, it's alternative search. It's not Google, so it's fake. It's probably fake. No, it's real paperwork. So what happened is this position that Robert Byrd had in the Ku Klux Klan was a 1-year position. And Robert Byrd, they said, had recruited over 150 people to the Ku Klux Klan. So then what they did was they said he was only in the Klan for a year, big deal. And he realized it wasn't a good thing to do. Okay, but you say guys in the Klan for a year, in 1 fucking year he's in the Klan. He wasn't in the Klan for a year. What they did was the fact he had a 1-year term. So for him to have been in the Klan a year, he would have walked into a term of a particular position. You mean to tell me he joined the KKK and then he got this position that was a 1-year term, and he said, hey, Robert Byrd, you're such a good, that would even still be better. He's such a good racist that he got moved up to this Cyclops position. Their titles are ridiculous. But he got moved to this Cyclops position, or whatever you call it, the first day, and it only lasted a year. Because there's only a year term to that position. Or was the motherfucker in it for a long time to work his way up to that? Either way, the argument, like either he stepped into ultimate power for 1 year in the KKK because he did have a position, and he admitted he had it, and even the Wikipedia thing admits that he had it. So either make up your mind, did he walk into a position of power in the Ku Klux Klan and it lasted 1 year? Why did he get that power given to him? If he's only in it for a year, why did they just give him a power position from the beginning? And they said he recruited over 150 people, and that was admitted by him. So in other words, what did he walk in and recruit 150 people in a year and then quit? Is that what really happened? Because that sounds like a crock of shit to me. But even if it is, either way you look at that, either way, if he was in for a year and had a position of power and recruited 150 people, then still, if you try to make it look like he was only in for a year and you take that 1 year he had that position and just say that's all he was in the KKK, and then just say that's it. He's just in there a year, and then try to minimize that. By trying to minimize it, if you actually do your research and say, well, how did he get this position? He had to be a damn good racist. But common sense would tell you the guy was in it a long time to get 150 people in. I mean, you can't think about how you going. You can't recruit 150 unless you're a really hot chick. And this guy ain't no hot chick, and they didn't have social media back then. I mean, how long does it take to get 150 Facebook friends? You think you can get 150 Facebook friends to join a cause if you're like a regular dude in a year's time? You think that? So it's in the time of no social media, this guy got 150 people to join a racist organization in a year. Is that what happened? Because that's what he's admitting to. Okay, so that said, he's a mentor to Biden. They were praising this guy, but then the same people who will say, well, this guy is forgiven. This Democrat senator is forgiven of his KKK past, and Biden is forgiven of doing the crime bill that put thousands of black men in jail for longer periods of time, and doing all this other racist crap he's done. Well, Trump had a lawsuit about an apartment complex, and everything with Trump they say is racist, and they'll sit there and throw up all these examples. Okay, you'll throw up all these convoluted examples. He had an apartment complex, and some black people had a lawsuit or whatever, and you go look at the details of it. It's like, okay, let's say Trump's a racist. He don't want black people in his neighborhood. When you got the people who live there are usually liberals. They're liberals that don't want black people there. If you look at the reality, then Trump was a Democrat then. So Trump was a Democrat back then. He was a fucking liberal back then too. You want to play that game? Trump was a Democrat. and a liberal. And I remember Trump was not known as a conservative person back then. So could he not change his ways from then to now? But no, he can't. But Robert Byrd could be in the fucking KKK for a year, according to Wikipedia, and walked in the first day and received a whatever Cyclops position the first day they call it, and recruited 150 people a year. But to me, if I recruited 150 people to the KKK, I got to be one hell of a convincing racist. I have got to be really deep. I mean, think about it. Come on, if you're a preacher, if you're a shitty preacher and you don't really believe in God, you think you're going to get 150 people to come to God in a year? You're going to have 150 people up here getting baptized? Or, think about it. If you're a KKK guy, do you really think you can get 150 people in a year if you don't really deeply believe in it, or you're good at convincing people to be a racist? You got to be good at it to recruit 150 people. So this guy, I'm not making this about Robert Byrd, but I'm trying to give you an example of how they twist the truth. Okay, so here's another thing. So I want you guys to look what they're going to do. They're trying, I put up the UN thing a week ago. The United Nations has always had a disarmament plan. I told you guys this for years. It's printed. It's been out for a long time. It didn't just happen. They got a plan to disarm the whole country. It's been out for a while. It's not nothing new. So that disarmament plan is there. You can look it up. And it has to do with getting rid of small arms and getting rid of guns and all the ways they can get guns out of people's hands. Now, they use the word illegal in there in different ways to try to make it look like it's bad guns, but it's basically, if you look at it, it's not illegal guns, it's everybody's. Hunters, civilians. I mean, it's not talking about civilians having illegal guns. Like, it's double speak. If you look at it, it's like, well, wait a minute. It's saying illegal guns, but then it's saying we don't need civilians having these, and these people having these. So what I thought it was illegal. Well, yeah, under their rule, everything will be illegal. It's like Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, we're going to get your AR. We're going to get your AR-15s. Yeah, and what? Give them to Antifa so they can do Chaz or whatever? Okay, they got no imagination. Chaz and Chop. You think these people had better imagination playing video games and building shit on Minecraft or whatever? They could invent better names. Well, they're probably playing those little games when they were 10 years old, playing Minecraft or stuff where you build shit, and then they destroy. They don't know how to build. I guarantee you, if you took their video games or you tore up their Minecraft buildings they did when they were little kids, they probably get pissed off, but they don't mind burning other people's shit now and taking people's jobs. So the point being, you guys think about this too. The George Floyd's family did something very unusual. The first thing they mentioned is we want to appeal to the United Nations. Now, how many black people do you know their first response is, we're going to go to the United Nations about this? Well, why? Who cares? I mean, would you really expect, seriously, all the black folks that I know, would you really, is your first impulse if something like this happened is to talk to the fucking United Nations? They were coached to say that. They're trying to work the UN in. That coincided with the defund the police shit, because what they want to do is defund the police, get the UN in, hoping for a firearms incident, hoping some guns will be fired in this thing somehow and they can twist it. And at the right time, they can twist it where the Antifa connection doesn't matter to the public, and people don't put two and two together and say, hey, this is Democrat funded bullshit here. And they're hoping that they're waiting right now on like somebody to get shot or some militia to do something or somebody else or trigger to get pulled. But they're hoping that at that time that they can work it around to a disconnect between the Democratic Party, Antifa, and the media supporting Antifa. So they're trying to do it. They're trying to get the timing right. They're riding this out, because if somebody goes down in gun violence, which they're praying for, if somebody goes down in gun violence in this whole Seattle situation, and or they're wanting Trump to go down there. And I mean, one thing it would show us if Trump takes the military down there, all these people saying, well, your AR-15s don't have any chance against drones in the military. Well, I guess we can see how that works at that point. But if they want Trump to take the military, because it'll prove their point. So Trump's letting it go. Because, I mean, the mayors down there, people down there, they don't want it. They're saying it's fine, And I've got relatives. My mother called my aunt out there, who's a liberal, and she said, it's just a bunch of college kids having the love in. So they don't really think it's anything. She lives in Seattle. So I got two family members in Seattle, one from my mom's side, one from my dad's side. This is from my dad's side that she called. So they're liberals and they just don't think it's anything. So, why did they call out to the UN? Because they're trying to put that in people's heads because they want the United Nations to come in and have a police force. If you seriously, honest to God, think they just have counselors, who's going to back the counselors up? It's going to be they want a United Nations coalition. They want a one world government, and that's not a conspiracy theory. Why do you think they brought up UN? They got told to bring it up. Same reason that when the Trayvon Martin thing happened, they coached the family, George Zimmerman's family, to not speak any Spanish because they wanted to identify him as white. They didn't want any Spanish clouding the narrative there. Look it up. His brother screwed up and admitted it. He told us not to speak Spanish for the attorneys. So, George Floyd's family, I guarantee you the first thing they're worried about was not the United Nations. They're worried about getting a damn attorney. And I'm sure they had an army of attorneys coming to these people. I guarantee you, with all the attorneys and all the other stuff, the UN thing was secondary. They may even give them a money bump. Somebody could have threw them some money to do a shout out to the UN to try to build a UN narrative that they want to build. But why do you think, that's what I'm saying, why would they just magically talk about the United Nations? When is the last time you ever heard a black person appeal to the UN? Ever. About any of this shit. About anything, really. I mean, I could see somebody talking about going to the Bloods and Crips before I see them go to the UN. I mean, why would the UN be a factor? And somebody says, well, it's racist thing they go to Bloods and Crips. Well, they're black organizations that are gangs that are often talked about in hip hop, and they're supposedly the two most powerful. Besides, you got the bunch of other gangs I ain't gonna get into mentioning, but there's a lot of, at least out in California area, they are popular, well-known gangs. I mean, they're well-known, the red and the blue shit, and they're almost pop culture, just like Hell's Angels and the Outlaws for white folks. They are known as that. So to me, it's almost like, I could see them appealing to a gang before I would see them appealing to the United Nations. Because the United Nations, I mean, to me, wouldn't you think that's a white thing too? Why would you go to the UN? Well, how much, you really think you get a fair shake? They're not, they're not part of the United States. They are founded and funded here, but we pay for it. But the point is, I mean, that's obviously a hook there they're trying to put in there. So just think about what's going on. Pay attention. They look into, when you start looking and seeing that they are bringing rifles into this zone, and like saying it's a recipe for disaster because they are wanting something to go wrong, but they don't want people to know at the same time that they're armed. They're trying to cover that up, but at the same time trying to have an use it to make the old people scared of guns. And they're trying to figure out how can we, because the thing is, I hate to tell you, if they take AR-15s or take guns or limit firearms, those people will still have them because Uncle George has got, he can get all the AR-15s he wants. You think Antifa or any terrorist organization in the United States is not going to get whatever they want? That's the only equalizer. If you've ever been around a bunch of crowd of people, you go look at a crowd. That's why you need a 30-round mag. And I'm not saying to go out shooting people in crowds. I'm saying if you got a crowd beating your damn house door down to rob you, or a mob out there, having firepower, and these aren't the most powerful guns in the world, like people say. Hunting rifles are more powerful than AR-15s by far. Your average .308 hunting rifle or 30-06 is more powerful than a 5.56 by 4.5 or 2.23, or even like a AK, like a 7.62 by 3.9 AK round is marginally like about as powerful as maybe, let's see, a 30-30. A 30-30 is a deer rifle. It's a good deer rifle. It's about a 100-yard gun. So you're not talking about a bunch of power here. So anyway, that said, we're being played just like we've been played with COVID-19. So we've been played with everything else. This is all a ploy. They're trying to use this. What the hell, the statues? They can pull 1 million statues. They can pull the Statue of Liberty down. It's not going to cause one black person not to die. It's not going to stop anything. It's a show. It's to put on. And then today, the Republicans did a bill about police, and then try to stop chokeholds and shit. Like they're trying to do something where the Democrats have never done anything but just blame it on somebody else or say vote. We had way more deaths by the numbers under Obama than we did Trump. Way more shootings. They're just going to blow them more out of proportion. But if you look at the numbers, you go look it up, and they didn't do anything. They didn't even try. So they tried to do this in Congress, so they're trying to do something. And, of course, the Republicans are doing it. The Democrats are going to judge them, and they're going to want to throw in pork and spending and probably some kind of gun control measures or ammunition tax or whatever they can do. Oh, we'll just use this to fund it. They're going to try to do something to fuck Americans. I'm going to tell you right now is not the time to not have guns or give up your firearm rights. Now is not the time to give up more rights. You already saw what's happened with the rights. We have got to realize we don't got to quit giving up rights. We're giving up rights now. And it's this, I hate to tell you, this Supreme Court decision, even if you love LGBTQ rights, which is fine with me, I don't give a damn. Everybody should have equal rights under the law. But there are certain unintended consequences with that law that they did with that they just went through that. If you study it, you'll understand what I mean. There are unintended consequences for everybody in these things. But people don't want to see that. They want to get caught up in emotion. They don't want to think about the consequences or how things really work or something may affect them. Because most people don't own a business or run a business. Most people work for somebody else, or they don't work, or they do whatever, and they don't really care. So anyway, it's not their problem. All they care about is their own money. But yet, the thing is, we got a lot of idiots in the country, a lot of idiots that are trying to tell us how to do shit, but those idiots vote now, and they used to not care about politics. They just sit around, get high, and do their thing. But now, they care about politics because it's trained you to care. And I think if somebody was smart, they'd just run a third-party candidate that would snatch all these little psychos up. Go ahead and run Bernie Sanders, for Christ's sake. I don't care. Run him against Biden. Run some kind of psycho candidate that appeals to these people, and then that would take a few more votes off of Biden, because Biden ain't worth the shit to vote for anyway. I can't see how anybody can see this guy. Y'all talk about Trump. You talk about Trump because everybody tells you what to think and feel about Trump. That's what you're getting told. If you obviously logically can't look at what Biden's done and said and not see what the hell's wrong with that man. It's obvious. It's blatantly obvious. And if I'm sorry, if you could talk about Trump all day. Biden is a fucking moron. You wouldn't trust him to run a McDonald's drive-through window, and you know that. You're just doing it because he's the only thing. Y'all know that. You could look at any stock market, look at the numbers, just take your finger and go down there and look at the year. Everything's like this with Trump by the numbers. Love him or hate him, he sucks and he's got great advisors. He's got great policymakers, something, because this country was taking off. Just because some people didn't make better money, or other reasons, a lot of people made a lot of money under Donald Trump until that they used this shit to destroy the economy. But money was good. You can't deny the numbers. And just like with Reagan numbers were good, but they talk shit about him all the time. And the same Democrats that talk shit about him now put him up as a great example of a great economy now. Years later, because they forgot what people said, because everybody's got that memory of a goddamn goldfish, and that's the reason why. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and start paying attention, and go to DuckDuckGo and shit like that instead of Google, because we know, I've been telling you guys for years, Google, they hide shit. They hide it. Now that I'm taking advantage of the fact that now that other people are saying what I've been saying for the past few years, now, if you don't want to listen to me, listen to these other experts. They got talk shows. Google is hiding shit from us because they're very political. Google's controlling shit. They're trying to control everything. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and let's hope that there's no more bloodshed and we get out of this. Do not let go of your guns and your firearm rights. Stay armed. Be responsible with your firearms. Don't do anything stupid. Try to keep your distance from people, and try to keep your cool, try to keep control, keep a cool head, do everything you can. Love everybody, communicate, talk it out, get out of there if you can. If it comes to violence, try to get the hell away before you have to do any kind of thing like shoot a gun or anything. Be good people. Everybody treat people the way you want to be treated. So anyway, have a great day, folks. I'm out of here.